Right, it's all aboard the sleeper train because it's time to head to the Highlands for a few days of biking and hiking. We're getting the overnight train from London to Inverness and then driving an hour and a half to Torridon on the west coast. We're going to take some hardtails for a spin. We're going up a Munro, a few dips in the sea, lots of log burning. You get the idea. Now, the train up there was an interesting one. It really does bring a sense of adventure to a trip like this, travelling in style overnight, but you've got to be able to handle the rather cosy setup inside. Barely fit his sack through the door. Wow.
There we go. That's more than adequate.
The only downside of travelling like this was just that the club class passengers get preferential treatment in the buffet car, unfortunately, which meant we spent quite a bit of time in bed eating Maltesers until it quietened down later in the evening. But we did make it there eventually and get sat down for a drink and some food, and the haggis was delightful. How's the coffee?
Yeah, possible. We got a nice view, doesn't really matter about the coffee so much.
Now, we had a pretty good look at mountain bike options before we came up here, and there was two main routes that stood out. One down the side of Loch Damp, up and over and back round to Torridon Hotel where we got the bikes from, and then the other route was heading up the road to Loch and coming back over the hill down to the Torridon. So it did look on the map like there was going to be quite a bit of climbing. I mean, both routes had probably at least 600 to 800 metres of elevation. So we weren't quite sure what we were going to do. It was going to be a big effort on the first day, but when we got down to the bike hire place for Shengo, who was also a mountain guide and, you know, handling all the rental and stuff, he suggested a bit of a pootle around the loch instead, which was 100% the right call, and basically prevented us ending ourselves and destroying his bikes on the first day. There's still a bit of up and down like this way. I was worried it was going to be flat as a pancake.
I think, like, basically he was like, you're doing this in
Don't need any heroes today, do we?
might not need him, but he's got a few.
Yeah. Right, day two, excuse the pyjamas, started with a quick drone reconnaissance of our intended walk of the day. There's a lot of incredible routes up here that we were looking at in advance. Option one, Liaga, that's the big one in snow here. We decided before coming up here that it was probably going to be a bit beyond us on this trip. Option two was a loop of Beinn Alligin going up over the two Munros, then the Horns of Alligin and back down. And then option three was going up to Corrymuckfeacha, where there's the wreckage of a Lancaster bomber that hit one of the buttresses up there back in 1951. In the end, we decided on Beinn Alligin. Now, what made this a bit tricky was the weather forecast was not looking good for this day. It was looking as though it was going to get pretty wild later on in the afternoon. So we set off as early as we could, but knowing full well we were going to have to kind of call this as we went. Some nervous faces around the car park. The main topic of conversation at this point was whether to don the waterproof trousers or not. It's one person's hybrid option of Gore-Tex +4 breeks certainly caught the eye as a practical way to go.
Are they off the peg or did you get them made especially?
Michael Williams.
There's no flies on that lad. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Here we go.
Hitting the base. Tom Nagaria. Halfway up Tom Nagru. Oh, there's another stag going at it. Yeah. up into the snow line. Let's see where we're at. 720 metres. 200 metres to go. Boom. Cooking on gas. Cooking on gas. About 50 metres to go, we reckon. Upwards, yeah, a bit leftwards, I think. That's it. What ping pong anecdote is he regaling people with now? We can just see, yeah, up towards that last 50 we need to do. It's connected to the...
Did I tell you the sun was going to come out at the top or what?
It's like
Played an
stepping out
absolute
the
blind,
top,
doesn't
isn't it?
Can't quite believe it. No. Well done, chaps. Well, we kept it together pretty well as well. No hiker left behind.
We're just going to stop at the top here.
Yeah, let's go. Let's touch the trig. It's pretty,
Yeah.
So this was a pretty epic way to top out Munro, and at this point most people were ready to head back down, but 3 of us decided to go take a look at Skirmore to see what the traverse round there looked like. But once we started dropping down the ridge to get there, it looked very snowy and icy, and given the weather was set to deteriorate later in the day, we thought at that point to just pause and take stock.
But that's fine for like when you're making a fucking PowerPoint. But when it's like 1,000 metre sheer drop,
Yeah,
then
exactly. Thing that we're
well, we've
right now, we're taking a massive win.
remember the objectives. Get off the mountain. Get down without injuries, and have fun in that order.
Yeah.
So let's go.
What was the guy's name, the mountain bike guy?
Vashengo?
Vashengo, yeah. Have to let him know what we did. I think it looks like we're calling it on Skirmore, unfortunately. That's where we were thinking about going round and up to the top of the next one, but we're going to have to leave that. Yeah, we'll have to leave that for another day. Let's go for a quick swim and get the fire on, I think.
Let's do that.
Absolutely.
Boom.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's go. So here we are heading back down, and mixed emotions at this point. Obviously feeling a bit deflated that we couldn't do the whole loop. At the same time, just being really happy to be here and knowing that we'd made the right decision just to go have a look and then turn back.
We have crossed both of those Munros.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling one more in one sitting. Like running kind of hill running.
Bit of weather coming in just at the end. The finish line's in sight now. In the water then, lads. Is everyone going?
Everyone's got
Okay.
I think everyone has to really. I don't really want to.
Oh, doesn't even make a sound.
I think if you put your head under, I think it's not the one.
That's cold.
It's cold.
So our last day in Torridon was all about kicking back and just taking it easy. We had planned on going on a whale spotting trip off the coast on a rib, but the weather that had come in the previous day was causing some havoc out at sea, so that got canned fairly early doors. After a bit of ringing round, we found Captain Steve, who had a boat and was willing to take us for a bit of a poodle round the loch over in Gairloch, and he had some good tales to tell, so we had a good time.
This is fun.
This is Shield Eggs Bay, and you will see when you're driving up it, you will pass it off. And you will see, as I said, you see the signpost for Lackner side, once again, Rock of the Aura, on me. Shags. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
That was awesome, yeah.
Thank you very much. Really
Thanks a lot.
And remember, don't forget to pay the man.
Yeah, we'll swear up.
After safely disembarking back in Gairloch, we had a little pit stop in the Badachro pub before heading to Redpoint Beach out on the coast, which is where a short but epic trip ended. There was so much to do up here. We feel like, I think this is like the 4th or 5th time in Torridon for me, and it still feels like I'm only scratching the surface, so looking forward to going back already.